I feel like the mind of humanity, the total mind, is trying to free us from thought. Thought was necessary, but the mind of humanity is testing whether it can release us from those programs and trust us to perceive and act as love. And it feels powerful. And so when we get in touch with that power, do we share it or do we use it against people? Would we use it to hurt or would we use it to help? And I feel one of the measures of this is how we act towards nature. So can we look at another creature, doesn't matter where it is on the totem pole, and look with love and respect and admiration for the part that it plays in the whole. And when we do that, it's registered in that creature. It's registered in the mind of the collective of that creature. And that creature knows. Just like how today I was sitting and a lizard just came up right beside me and then ran over my shoes that I had taken off and put beside me and then started sunning himself. And it seems like we all have thought parachutes in order to slow down moving in the field of love as love. We're attached to our me. We don't understand what would be acting if we didn't have this parachute of thoughts. We can fall in love, but we can't fall in gravity. We can fall in consciousness. I think part of my test was years ago when I made that video with the flies, and I was in awe of these flies. And in a way, it could have been my invitation into these perceptions and starting to make sense of them, backwards and forwards at the same time. And I said in the video I wouldn't hurt a fly. And one way to get into flow is to look at nature beyond human constructs and not look at the separate thing and name it, but actually see its interrelatedness and be curious about what it does with its time and its life energy. I wonder if we can let beauty run through our nervous system, run through us, run as us, and animate us. We're meant to be the most beautiful creatures on earth with the ability to appreciate beauty, to look at it, and also to make more of it. But we're using our beautiful instrument to destroy beauty, and we don't realize we're destroying ourselves. I was happy to find that quote in the Krishnamurti book that says, when we destroy nature, we destroy ourselves. Because I had that sense a long time ago. So beauty is the fuel. Truth is perception, and love is action. But all of those could be interchanged. And I remember Krishnamurti saying that beauty is indestructible. I think the indestructible element is that beauty. That's always there. I feel like thought is a holding pattern. It's holding so many human beings in a pattern. And really we want to be released from that pattern. And the me is a pattern. And I feel like our senses become a quantum sense. We sense possibilities, we see relationships. And that's where we learn. I was editing a video and I was watching myself, and while watching myself, it was the first time I really had this sense that I could see that I'm speaking what I'm seeing. Because I was going on and on for like 10 minutes. And as I was saying more and more, I was actually speaking from what I was seeing. And I'm always doing that, but it was the first time I actually could see myself seeing as I was speaking. And I probably could before, but it was the first time I was really aware that I was really following what I was seeing as I was saying it, because it was the first time I was hearing it since I said it, because I say things from nothing. But I really had this extra sense of seeing what I was saying, and maybe that's good in terms of if somebody watches this one day, if one can actually see what I'm saying when I'm saying it, or see that I'm saying what I'm seeing, not saying stuff from preformed thoughts in my brain, because that's really the whole point of it, is to be able to see and say for yourself, or listen and say, listen to these subtle things in the air. Really, we just want to be in touch with that voice and give voice to that, because it's infinite. I wonder what happens when love loses control. It seems like thought is trying to control this love. It's afraid of it. I feel like what we project out of our eyes, the light and sound, limits possibility. It's premature collapsing of the wave function. We don't allow all the information to penetrate our being and then make the quantum calculation and respond with our full being. We respond according to the programs and images that we're projecting. So it's like that light coming out of us and that sound coming out of us that is invisible to others is meeting and breaking up all the information, light and sound coming towards us. And so it's chopping up all the information. So one can't receive the whole impression on the clear mind screen and collapse the wave function. And I feel like it's actually, that's part of what creation is having that correct information clearly impress upon one and then responding creatively. One can respond in many possible ways, so it's not necessarily one correct response, but it's definitely likely actually all correct responses. Doesn't matter what you do really, but when one is choosing between programs, it can never be a correct response because it's old and it's gone out to meet the information coming in and impinged upon it and impeded it. So one isn't even getting any of the information. So when all the information is collected in a quantum way, one has the degrees of freedom to respond in many possible ways. And the thing is that when one is in touch with that, one doesn't even really know oneself what one's going to say or do exactly. And in that way, one is kind of entertained by oneself because everything is surprising, even what one does, because it's not coming from past programs. So if I even think about my day today, I didn't really plan anything. It was a day of complete possibility. The past is collapsing, the present, it's impinging upon the present, or it's actually making it so we can't collapse wave functions because there's a hologram in the way. After my hike today, I got back and everything seemed brighter. Even the kitchen, it just seemed so bright. And there was an orange, and I picked it up, and it seemed so bright. And I was thinking about how beauty is related to color. So when things seem more beautiful and vibrant, it must have some kind of association to the quality of the nervous system. And it's sort of a measure of where one's at. If one can be in awe of an orange when one has seen oranges all day long for several weeks, then that's a different quality beyond the things as they are, or the things that we would normally measure them as, like this is an orange, big deal. And I think there could be a diligence in consciousness to keep the programs in abeyance. And I feel like consciousness is when we are really awake. So there's a sleep state, which is sort of like glow. And then there's a programmed state, which is kind of like know, as in knowing things, acting based on previous knowing, and also NO, as in just saying no to the living whatever one is encountering. And the awake state, which is flow. So glow, know, and flow. I hope to create perceivers, seers, people who can see meaning and unfold that. Can we be masters of mania, of the wave of consciousness? Can we surf that wave? Can we be moved by celebrating possibilities instead of conflict and problems? And I feel like meditating changes our voice from possibilities to problems, from the movement of consciousness and the mind to the movement of thought and programs.